Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steele Marcoux, editor-in-chief of Veranda Magazine, and I am so thrilled to be with you this afternoon for our final Design ADAC program. We have a really big treat in store for you today. That is the one and only Alexa Hampton is going to be showing us around her fabulous New York apartment and telling us a little bit about its evolution over the years. But before we get going with that, I want to take a moment to thank our host, ADAC, and our sponsor, Theodore Alexander. And now, before we get going with our program, we're going to hear a quick word from Theodore Alexander. I don't know about you, but I was practically shopping that video just now in my head. And now I am thrilled to introduce our guest today, Alexa Hampton. Alexa is a New York-based designer who has run her father's iconic design firm for over 20 years, creating interiors that are just as livable and inviting as they are elegant and stylish. Alexa has won many awards. As some of you may know, she has been published all over the place, and she has several product lines. But perhaps most importantly for today, something you may not know about her is that Alexa is a great storyteller. And I am so thrilled to have her with us to tell us a little bit about the story of her very own apartment in her home today. In a little bit, she's going to actually take us on a video tour of the apartment. And during that portion of the program, I'd love to take questions from the audience while we're kind of walking along with her. So please feel free to submit your questions via the Q&A function on Zoom. But before we get going with our video tour, I wanted to ask Alexa just a few questions about the house so that we can sort of have an understanding of what we're looking at. So Alexa, first of all, welcome and thank you so much for doing this. For inviting us in.
And thank ADAC. And I also, of course, I'm so grateful to Theodore Alexander. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to see some of the pieces that inspired your collection in your apartment, which is so exciting.
It's the best laboratory, that's for sure.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about the apartment. How long have you lived there and what kind of building is it in?
It is a building from the late 1920s. So it's a pre-war building, but it has a couple of unusual features. It has casement windows that you'll see that are really charming, and it has fireplaces, and it's got some steps. So when I first moved in here, I was in my very early 20s, and it was a rental. And it's because I was here already, actually in two apartments, that my husband and I were able to buy an apartment because, when you're a sponsor, when you rent and it goes co-op, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, yeah, New York has famously difficult ways of keeping riffraff like myself out of buildings. But I was able to go circuitously and sneak in.
I love it.
And then my husband and I lived in under 600 square feet here for 5 years. Amazing. And then we bought a 2-bedroom. And we had our happy life there. And
was the 2-bedroom was it next to it or where was the 2-bedroom?
No, that was our first owned apartment.
Got it.
So
okay.
we went I started off on the 12th floor, then I went to the 7th floor. Now I'm on the 10th floor. And we bought this 2-bedroom, And then we were able to have twin sons there. I mean, I'm a New Yorker. I don't need, voluminous spaces.
Tens of thousands
And
of square feet.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd love to have it, but I'm totally cool not having it. And then just as we were about to have our daughter, the apartment, one bedroom, became available in kind of the weird way to combine it. So now we were straddling two elevator halls. And then finally a third apartment came through that was two bedrooms. And you're gonna see how things had to shift. And there was a moment in time when we were all bedroom and then a playroom that had a fence around
I love it. I love it.
it. I mean, I was totally being the worst decorator hypocrite on earth.
I love it. And as you were, combining apartments and refiguring and reconfiguring, did you live there throughout or did you have to move out?
No, we lived there throughout. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
we could not afford
Yeah.
to move out.
Yeah.
So we didn't. So there was one night when my husband and I were sleeping in my daughter's bedroom, which had, and you'll see it, it's a very small room, and it had a twin bed and a trundle. And I was on the trundle, he was on the twin, and then in the middle of the night, the electric started doing strange things.
Oh God.
And we're like, wow, we are prisoners of war. But like that's life. You gotta do what you gotta do.
I love it. There's something so charming about, the fact that, again, you kind of just made it work over the years as your family has grown, as circumstances have changed. You know, I happen to have read a story that you wrote about this amazing apartment. And you've lived there throughout lots of kind of big events for New York
Yeah.
City too. And your relationship with your home and your apartment has, it's kind of been there for you, if you will, in these
Yeah.
kind of big moments too, which is just, again, thinking about you being there for a long time. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I come from sticky parents. My parents bought the apartment my mother still lives in right before I was born.
I love that.
So
Love that.
we are not, change comes slowly for us.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's just dive in. If you're ready to show us around, let's get.
I am ready to show you around. Now,
Okay.
because this is 3 small apartments, it has, and I'm going to try and walk slowly so everybody doesn't barf. So it has tons of doors because there are 3 front doors, 3 back doors, and then doors. So yeah, it's a little weird, but I'm going to take you to the front door, and then I'm going to stand in front of my front door, and now I'm going to flip the screen for you.
Excellent.
And this is the entry hall.
So this is what you see if you're coming in.
Yep. When you walk in the door, this is what you see. And it is, I love classicism. So you will see lots of little tempiettos and lots of little, the Parthenon and little temples there. So this is just what's interesting about this room is that it's got all these doorways coming off of it, but it has no actual light. So it's very decorated. Though I suppose the whole apartment is. So over there, that is, in the real world, that would have been a bedroom, but we turned it into a dressing room for my husband and me. And you go downstairs to the living room we were just in, and then very slowly, you go down here into the dining room,
Beautiful.
which was briefly our bedroom.
Oh my God.
And you go over here if you want to see Percy coming in on time with his ball. So first, I'm going to walk you into the living room, and here are those fun windows I was telling you about. And it's just they make me so happy.
Yeah.
And I love the quirkiness of having 3 steps down into the living room.
Beautiful. It kind of gives a nice definition. It's like now you're in a different space.
Yeah. And it's also like as close as New Yorkers get to a house. Like steps? Yay, steps.
Yeah. A change of level of some of
Exactly. And so this is obviously the fireplace wall of the living room. And this is where it all happens, people. This is where my husband and I fight over that seat. That is the good seat.
That's the prime seat.
Yeah, it's totally the prime seat. So there you get a little sense of how you walk up and into that entry.
Gorgeous. You can see the metallics.
Yeah, and each of the rooms kind of, if you think of it as a wheel, each room has a different color. So I thought to have the metallic in the entrance to bounce around light, and then it's got little bits of color in it in the leaves and butterflies that Gracie does so well. So yeah, that was probably the hardest room to do. So now you can see why we like this spot. And there I am in the corner on mirrors. There is a fake bookcase that goes into the dining room.
So cool.
And just so I can show you how it works.
Oh, that's amazing.
It closes on both sides.
I love it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love a hidden door. I hate it because it means that I don't have actual proceeds. Settle down. That I don't have. Oh, that is the hidden door. It makes me sad that I don't have more storage for books there, but it's really great to have this door. And I'm going to push these back in, and you will see. Here's the hinge.
Super cool because it lays
very Scooby-Doo.
Flat. Yeah.
And this, I think, is maybe the prettiest view in the apartment.
I love that.
Now I'm going to show you a little bit too much reality, Steele, and I apologize.
That's okay. We like reality.
Here we come into the dining room, and it's all looking very promising until there.
Oh my
This
God,
is where my husband has been set up when he's not at the office. And because we have no ability, my trees look like they're about to fall, to have a chandelier. Instead, we dine under the treetops.
I love that. That's so clever.
And they are fake, I'm sad to admit. So over here, over this buffet is a map that I printed from the Library of Congress, and we printed it, we folded it, we crushed it, and we poured tea on it, and then we framed it so that it had like a little bit of age.
Love that.
And for anyone who doesn't know, there's no view of what Alexa is showing. Uh-oh. Is there no view?
Okay. I'm kind of.
You can see it.
I'm seeing it, but okay, now there is. And I'm also now seeing you, like your view is now larger, which is perfect.
Great. Yeah, do not feel shy about telling me to fix my shaky camera work. So there is that bookcase. This used to be our bedroom. And so the bookcase was built on this side. So when we combined apartments, we just bust through in that small part. And this is some of my design library. And then I have a pair of these mirrors. And that I bought these from Mark Roberts, from Markham. Oh. And he used them in a beautiful Kips Bay room. And I stole them from him.
I love it.
Okay, this is the world's smallest guest bedroom. No, I'm not kidding. This is it. This is all you're going to see. And you can see that we made it smaller when you look at the window. So we gave extra room to my daughter, and that's why. So it's this cute little day bed. And I just bought this music stand.
Ooh, cool.
To use as a desk when you're in bed or on the sofa, whatever. If you need that desk, I can now wheel it around for myself.
That's awesome.
Another thing I did, this is one of those weird parts of the apartment where you can tell that it's not a single apartment because it's got odd jigs and jags. And so my great friend Celia Roge, who is a fine arts photographer, I bought from her this photo of an enfilade that she took so that it appears that it's an extension of the hallway.
I love it. It sort of looks like the hallway keeps going.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
When of course it doesn't. So we have to turn over here. This is of course the closet where we keep track of all the kids' heights.
Oh,
Now I'm walking in. This is good news that my daughter's not home yet because she'd be irked, I'm sure. This is my daughter's room. This is where my husband and I woke up that night when I was on the trundle. And what we did is we pulled that much space from the guest bedroom so that we could give her this bed stuck into the niche. And before anybody asks, yes, it's crap to have to make this bed because it's pushed against the wall. But we suffer for our art.
The art is beautiful.
That is a photograph by Massimo Listri, and I love the idea of the room continuing and opening since it's a concise room. And it's on a wall of suede.
Fab.
And the mahogany doors really made the apartment, I think. I mean, they make it feel super. I mean, I am grown up. I'm emphatically grown up, but sometimes I don't think of myself that way. But I think the apartment is very.
Did you add the mahogany doors, or were they there?
Oh no, I made them.
Oh, you had them.
I made them, and because it was because it was a rental apartment, a lot of things. Oh, the name of the photographer is. Well, there are two photographers. One is Celia Roge, Celia Celia, last name spelled Rogge. And then the other photographer is Massimo Listri, Massimo, and then Listri. And I'm going to, look, you can see a hand of a child. I'm not going in there. But this is actually this room, which a lot of people have, there's a great photograph of it that bumps around the internet. Sure this room is being co-opted so I can do some work here. So there's a little reality.
Love it.
This is my boys' room, and again, does not usually look this clean. This is a total theater for your benefit.
I love it.
And they used to have bunk beds. They're quite tall now. They're 14. And so we made these full beds and this bookcase. And then we had Dean Barger come and do this great mural of the Campidoglio in Rome.
That is so cool. The effect that creates.
Yeah. So I just wanted to again pretend like they had a window above their bed.
I love it. Such great use of art.
I have bamboo blinds all over the place.
Beautiful.
And
cool color on the ceiling, Alexa. Can we see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So when they were babies, I had a map printed and it was on the ceiling and they loved it. And I think that really got me into my ceiling decoration phase.
Totally.
So anyway, this is on our way out, and we try to. Oh, the bamboo blinds are from the Shade store, and not surprisingly, they are from my own collection. And that desk you see of my daughter's is just something I bought on the internet that folds away for this moment in time.
Love it.
Now, I'm going to flip the camera so you can see me as I walk into my bedroom.
Fantastic.
So because it's 3 apartments, there are these 3 tiny kitchens. And so it actually worked out perfectly because one has become the laundry, one became the bar, and then the final one is the kitchen proper, which I will show you. We're walking the secret way into my bedroom.
Cool.
which is really fun. It's a small room, so it's hard to get the whole idea for you.
So beautiful.
But we started, well, you're going to see in the before and afters, we had to redo this room almost immediately because I totally bungled it.
Hard to imagine you bungling anything. When
it was for a good cause. I was trying to save money and be good, and then it just didn't look good. Yeah. So I have this really fun canopy bed.
So fun.
With it's so Henry VIII. It has these frogs in the corner. And then I went to Hyde Park molding, and we did, we created these coffers and then put these medallions up.
I love
and then on the ceiling behind the medallion, I used a ticking stripe wallpaper.
I love that.
Just to kind of bring the tenor of the room down, because it takes itself seriously, this room. So I needed to lighten it up a little bit.
I love it.
This is what my dog currently amuses himself with, eating all of my tassels. There he is, in fact, probably destroying something.
Alexa, I like that you have a landline phone next to your bed.
I sure do. I got it on eBay.
I love it. Yeah, you can't just run down to Radio Shack anymore and get one, huh?
Well, I bet you I could, but I was in a hurry.
Sure.
And look at all the craziness of these rugs.
Oh my gosh, I love it. The color is so good.
I know, it's really crazy. But I think my father would have a heart attack if he saw this room.
Really?
I just don't think he would ever say, "Oh, I can see Alexa living in a dark purple room." But I think he'd love it.
I think he would love it.
And the views in this apartment are really fun if you are like me and you like a cityscape.
Yeah.
And and behind that is my television.
Oh, brilliant.
And this was a piece of furniture, a big bookcase I had designed for a show house in Southampton in 2004. And I just chopped it up and kept the bottom half.
I love it.
All right.
What's the wall covering? Is it?
It's also Gracie. I gave her, Jennifer Gracie, a book spine. And they did, the blocks, but it has an almost suede-like appearance.
Ah, so cool.
And my nails look amazing against.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, for the question, how do I access the TV? This is the janky homemade thing. So here's another beautiful photograph by my friend Celia Roge. And I just pull this off.
And there it is.
And tilt it. Yeah, there you see it.
Brilliant.
And I'm not going to lie, it spends most of its time down.
Sure, why not?
And there's Percy sitting on my blanket chest. Blanket chests are my new favorite thing on earth, because the white duvet that everybody has just needs to go somewhere.
It needs
to be close.
Yes, that's true.
In this room, you will see this is a jib door. And tell me to hurry up if you need me to.
No,
This is a jib door, and this is a jib door. So let me tell you why that is important. So this room, its doorways are where it is, right? They had to go where they had to go. And I didn't want to interrupt. I wanted at least one wall uninterrupted, because I've got window, and then the bed. Right. So it's a door because it has a doorknob. But what makes it a jib is that it's on an offset pivot hinge, and you run the baseboard across the bottom, and you treat the wall like wall.
Love it. I love it. I'm writing this down.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I am. I have a meeting with architects next week. I'm writing this down.
And I've got watercolors that my father painted. That's also in Rome. That's of Constantine at the Campidoglio. Yeah. And then I have in here, here is a birthday card from him. I was going to Italy to study, but he put a shoe in because he knows that nobody goes to Florence without shoe shopping.
Oh, I love it.
And then I have some of my own sketches, like a little fake sketch of the Van Dyke. And there's a little sketch of a street looking towards the Duomo.
Alexa, that's a hidden talent.
It's not that developed. I can draw, but I'm not an artist. So as we come along this side, we're back into the living room. So I'm going to show you that good door again. I'm going slow so you don't get sick. Slow so you
You're
don't
doing
get
great.
sick. And this is another Celia photograph of the Greek galleries at the Met. Again, Greek husband. And there's that jib door that we just walked through.
And I love how the paneling kind of runs along it. Again, treated like
it
walls.
Sure does.
Gorgeous.
And I worked with a graphic designer to make each of these patterns that we then put on the stiles and rails, and then within the paneling on the dado.
So
I was having a Mongiardino moment.
I love that. I love the Mongiardino moment.
And then there's a stain on my rug. Then as we come in here, this is the kitchen. So this is going straight into the kitchen. Who doesn't have, I've got some weird love of armory. So there are all of these little things that refer to it.
Love.
And I have my fornacetti plates with recipes.
Beautiful.
And then this is the breakfast hangout.
That's a clever use of space. Very well used.
And we got Walker Zanger. We just put these down. Porcelain wood planks.
Oh, those are so beautiful. I can't believe they're porcelain.
We didn't have it for a long time. The floor was just too sticky.
Yeah.
And it was grossing us out. Yeah. Now, this is anybody, I know this isn't like a budget show, but if anybody ever wants to do a backsplash, you can't think of something and you want to do something personal. I had this printed out on tin, so it was very inexpensive.
Cool.
Alexa, Pavlos, Michael, Marcos, and Aliki. So it's restaurant Alpa Mimeral for everybody in the family.
I love it.
And then we have our favorite food.
That is so great, Alexa. I love it.
And yeah, it's really cute.
That's so cute.
Cheap and cheerful.
Cheap and cheerful.
Which is not necessarily a philosophy I believe in.
Well, it's just
me,
personal.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back into the living room. And I think we're going to look at some slides.
We're going to look at some slides. That's right.
I hope I didn't make anyone sick.
No, that was fabulous. We got one question that we got a really good question, but I'm going to save it. Joyce, I see your question. We're going to save it for the end because we're going to actually get to see some slides. So let me go ahead and share my screen. This is always the exciting part of the program.
Right.
There we are. There we are. Yeah. You see, look at that. You see us and us. Which is hilarious. Okay. So let's dive into looking at some pictures now. And I'm going to kind of like ask you some questions as we talk. And, again, audience members, feel free to submit questions. We're going to save time for them at the end. But, one thing that I think was very evident just in hearing you talk about the apartment a little bit and in kind of having you walk us through it is that, you did not own the entire apartment all at once. You've been sort of joining things together.
Oh, yeah. Over a 15-year period.
15 years, exactly. But the whole thing sort of feels like one space and it all feels original. And I'm kind of curious how you were able to see what sort of design details you brought in to kind of integrate old with new.
Well, figuring out the entrance, which you're looking at right now, is really hard because, they had these little Tom and Jerry mouse holes, which I'm not a fan of. And that bedroom that you see on the left, that's now my dressing room. So I moved the door so it would end on a window.
Right.
And yeah, we just had to knit it together. Certainly the doors create some like a constant design
those
sense.
Beautiful mahogany doors. Yeah.
Really pretty. And I put in plaster molding from Hyde Park, and as you can see, Gracie wallpaper. And I don't know why I love such over the top things like chairs with griffins on them, but I do. So like I would do for myself what I wouldn't necessarily do for, or wouldn't feel that I've been asked to do for somebody else.
I love it.
I also I designed the stair railing, and I'm spacing out on the wonderful company who I always work with. It's 2 words. It's not Hyde Park because that's the molding. It's I will come up with it and tell you later.
But
so
I
this
noticed
is
the railing in the video, and I thought it was just so beautiful.
Thank you. So living room
Before.
Yeah. And the windows are old, so I'm not doing anything to them.
Yeah.
And I didn't want curtain panels because I was trying to capture every last inch of this apartment. And that is our tree, who I don't know how he's still alive, but he is still alive and well. This is my living tree.
Amazing.
And yeah, I think the fact that it had these beams in the ceiling and it had the cool windows and a fireplace gave me a lot.
And even a lot. Here's another view of that paneling that you created, just showing our viewers that it kind of, from that jib door, obviously continues all the way around.
And the red version of it is in the living room, and then a green version of it is in the dining room.
Here's more of the paneling.
And that bench that you're looking, that's one of my fireplaces for Chesney's.
I love
it. But the really fun thing is that bench, which has a life in the Theodore Alexander collection, and I'll tell you about it when we look at it later. As does that bookcase, the Mark.
This guy, and there's another view of those like fabulously curvy railings.
Yeah, they're like feathers.
They're so pretty.
It's Gold Coast. That's
Gold Coast. Okay.
Yeah, I do tons of stairs with them, and they forged them in Czechoslovakia or Czechia. Yeah.
Pointing out that jib door. Okay, so here are 2 of the pieces again from those we just saw, the kind of inspiration there and there.
So the bookcase was a no-brainer. Like, everybody needs a bookcase, and not everybody needs tall bookcases, especially not nowadays when we read so much on a device. But the great thing about these bookcases is they obviously are scratching an architectural itch for me.
I love it.
And the bench, it's called the HP bench because the top, which has the leather on it, forms an H for Hampton. And then my Greek husband's name is Pavlos Papageorgiou. So those are 2 Greek pies, the letter pi as you look at it.
I think you've told me that before, but seeing it from this view, it's like you really see the pie. I love it.
Yeah, you really see the pie. You have no idea how long it took me to figure out how to intertwine those initials. But I had a friend who said, "Oh, that's so cool. Did you find it?" And I was like, "Who on earth?" Like, no, can you imagine if I'd found it? But I think it is so totally symmetrical that it's more than just, it's an object, not just letters.
For sure. And I love the way you have it just in front. It's like perfect for in front of a fireplace.
Yeah, it is a perfect fender bench height. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And I need every
okay, now we're going into your bedroom.
Okay, so that was the bedroom. And you can see there were no coffers.
Yep.
And there were no convector covers, which is what we all build to cover our air conditioners. And also the windows were dark metal on the inside, which I wanted them to be white.
Got it.
So they had to be replaced. So this was a first version of my bedroom, and it is in every regard related to what came after, except for the color palette. So the reason why I changed it was that it didn't look like the master bedroom. It just looked like
it kind of feels like a guest bedroom.
It just looks like a bedroom.
Yeah.
It was in no way hierarchically more important than
Love that.
the canopy is drilled into the the coffers by my wonderful upholstery, Anthony Lawrence Belfair. And I don't have the foot curtains because it gets in the way of our view of the TV and out the room.
Right.
But this to me looked much sexier.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a master.
It's such a fun, like, before, during, final evolution, because you really did keep so much of the structure and kind of organization of the room in place, but it feels so much more special.
Well, and when you see my bedroom when it was in the dining room,
oh, right.
I was trying to reuse what I had.
Right.
But these colors, I didn't, you know, it took my having this final iteration of the apartments together for me to say, okay, now I'm going to do color in my house. Because until then, I might have been moving. Who knows?
Right. Who knows?
Because we were cramped and we were tight. But as my husband and I always said, like, many more people do much more with less.
I love
it.
But
when this happened, we were like, okay, we're going color.
Yeah. By the way, I would also submit that people do less with more, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh yeah, it goes in both directions.
It goes in both directions.
Yeah, it goes in both directions.
I kind of teased for myself what's coming next, but I want to ask you a question about color before we get to more Theodore Alexander product.
Yeah.
Because there are, I mean, if people can recall from the video tour, we're going to see photos of it in a minute here. But there are some really strong colors. There's this kind of this beautifully deep burgundy purple shade in your master bedroom. The kitchen is black. The dining room has that great green.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you like I'm someone who loves these saturated colors too, but how do I like marry them together and not make it feel like I'm in a rainbow?
Schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I felt like the hallway was an important fulcrum. Like from the hallway, we could go into color. So the hallway is the stable center.
Got it.
And then the other rooms turn into follies. And I have that same antelope carpet shooting off in each direction off of that entry. And I think that little saying about an animal print is a neutral, I subscribe to that.
I love that.
I think it is. So that is another part of that holding center. And then everything can fly off its crazy colors. But, you know, I started placing the artwork first.
Oh, interesting.
And so the living room has colorful artwork, but not colored walls. Yep. And then the family room, Percy, the family room has those really pretty blue walls, and it has fairly monochrome artwork. So, and then I did what I always tell people to do with their children is instead of actually asking them what they want and being confronted with what they want, I said to my daughter, who was 6 at the time, I said, you know, what's your favorite color? And she said green. So I always describe it as she did her room.
Oh, totally. That means
it's like a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, I love it. She thinks she did it too, or she did then at least.
Exactly. Yeah.
So here are 2 more pieces.
Yeah.
That have kind of inspiration in your own bedroom.
Yeah, and actually in the family room, that Matilde nightstand I have that exact table in my family room. And then the blanket chest, which you can do with a leather top or a fabric top, which, you know, helps you pull it into the scheme.
Yeah.
You know, not just wood, but it's also fabric that will help you, you know, maybe you don't have curtains. All you have is your headboard and a chest. Even that alone with bedding and walls and fabric, that can define your bedroom.
Yeah, it's like another soft surface. But plus, I love the scale. So
yeah, a little modified Greek key.
Love it.
I sure know how to beat a dead horse.
Oh, please!
That dead horse being Greek husband.
Okay.
Oh,
what are we looking at here? This is the kitchen.
This is the kitchen as it began its life.
Amazing.
And there it is after. And I know that all of my lovely friends in Atlanta are horrified by how little the kitchen is. And it opens up to that little breakfast bar. But yeah, it's little. You've got little apartments here in the city.
So I think one thing that, you know, one thing that really anchors it is having a window over the sink. You might as well
Yeah.
be in a McMansion somewhere in the South. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, I think that, kind of, I don't know, allows it to live larger than it actually is.
Yeah. And you just gotta you have to roll with what you got.
Yeah. There's that breakfast bar again.
Oh, and a fun thing that I did in the breakfast bar that I love and that I would encourage anybody doing a kitchen to do as well is I got silver luggage tag kind of things and I
Ooh,
drilled them in and um I wrote in calligraphy what's in the cabinet.
I love
So
that.
there are cabinets like this that have glass so you can see what's through them. But
Sure.
for the rest that are behind closed doors, it's nice to know exactly where you're going and what's there.
And again, it's sort of a nice way to add, a personal touch to what could be kind
Yeah,
of a servicey space. Here's that guest
that
bedroom.
tiny, tiny guest bedroom.
Love it. Love the color. And
And
then
and that's the old bedroom, which is now the dining room.
I love it. I love it.
So that white with all the bookcases,
Oh yeah.
um, was and the dramatic scale of the room, which has higher ceilings, was it was fine to be white then. But
Right.
the minute it went down into the smaller room and that didn't have bookcases, um, it it just fell flat. So
Yeah.
that's why the color had to come in.
This is before you changed out the railings, I think.
Exactly. Yep. That is before I change out the railings.
And here they
And
are. Oh,
that's it now.
amazing.
I can't believe I have a dining room. I feel so psyched that I have a dining room. It feels like such a special thing in New York. And during this time where we've had to get, use tables everywhere to work from, having this was a huge luxury.
Yeah, everybody needs like that surface, and of course, a dining room is even sometimes more useful than a desk because you can really spread out, and
For sure. For
that's
sure.
that's so great. But that does feel like a luxury in New York City, and to have a dining room with a mantle and a fireplace too, so pretty,
I mean, crazy. And that mantle is from Jam.
beautiful,
And yeah.
gorgeous.
So my husband had a few things that he wanted. He wanted a green dining room, he wanted maps, he wanted a fancy Japanese toilet, and he wanted um a good like draw for the range. What do you call
Oh
those?
yeah, a
A
hood.
hood, a proper hood. And we couldn't get the hood to work because the rules in New York are if you're going to have that kind of perforation that smoke's going to come out of, you have to be at least 3 feet away from your neighbor's window.
Oh
And
wow,
we were not.
and you're not free.
So
Okay, so funny to think about. Um, This is, I'm going to ask one audience question because it feels slightly, if you can remind us, did you make this map look older, Alexa?
yes,
Okay.
we digitally printed it, we folded it, we cut it, we crumpled it,
Oh my God.
smoothed it out, and poured tea on it.
I love it. And then but then you framed it in this frame that makes it look like it's a 200
Yeah,
year old antique
yeah,
map.
yeah, exactly.
So
Now
someone, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't see the rest of that question. I just saw the beginning of it.
Said you love high and low, which to me kind of reminded me of that map.
Yeah.
And she says, it's just beautiful. What is your go-to natural fiber floor covering that works well with children and a dog? Which is a good question.
Um, well, I have apple matting, also known as Irish matting, in my living room, and I love it, but it is dainty. It's the dog definitely screwed it up a bit. And when my husband started working at the dining room table, he really destroyed um he really destroyed it. So I got a great outdoor sisal for the dining room.
Is that, and you can kind of see, well, this may be the old,
That's the apple matting.
that's the apple matting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a few more Theodore Alexander
Yeah.
products to look at here.
So
Those
yeah,
mirrors.
when I do my house, it's a laboratory that then feeds everything. So having those mirrors in the dining room definitely made me want to do a fanciful Mughal shape, a Mughal
Love it.
arch.
Love
And I love my dining room chairs to
it.
death. And there's that sideboard. Well, and also Theodore Alexander has a metal shop, a forge. And so you can see that all of that paneling, it's actual brass inlay.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's really it. I don't know why it's so fun. Like brass inlay thrills me.
It's really
And the column has storage in it, and it looks great dark, and it looks great light.
I love it. Those dining
Helen
chairs,
Tanksley.
those dining chairs look so comfortable.
They are. And okay, so that's the if you go there, that's the blue room where my kids are.
Okay. Family.
That's the family room, and that's back in the day. I painted the painting above the sofa.
Beautiful.
And those chairs, the French chairs, you see them still in my current living room.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is when, in the very beginning, I kept it really neutral because I just didn't know how long we were going to be here.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's the other side.
Yeah, there's the other side, which is exactly like that still, except it's blue. And then that's the TV is in the lower register of that Napoleon III bookcase.
Over. Oh yeah, right there. You can kind of see it.
And it pulls out and swivels.
And there it is still.
And there it is. There it is still. And so now this room, if you go to I think you have one more slide of this room. Yep. Yeah, I'm taking that sofa out for the moment, and I'm putting in a pink raspberry colored banquette. Ooh. And I'm getting a huge table there, and it's going to be like our study hall, both for me and for the kids.
I love that.
I do too. I'm psyched. And I'm going to leave all of the artwork there and the sconces, and that all works.
The artwork is fab. I love it.
And that coffee table, I'm sad to say, I did a version of it for Theodore Alexander, and the Theodore Alexander version is so much nicer. So I'm going to have
it there.
Yeah. It's just cooler. It's got that cartouche cut out. It's just cooler. And I love a spoonback chair, as you could see. And I think if I could
click to purchase from this slide, I'd get 2 of those right now.
Yeah, why are spoonback chairs so cool?
So cool.
And then I've got the 2-tiered brass end table also in that room, and the Sloan you and I have talked about before.
Oh yes,
that's a folding chair.
So good.
So I have it kicking around. I have a bunch of them in that blue room that then get used for excess dining when needed.
When needed. Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. And then a great Showwood club chair.
Beautiful. We're going to get through a couple more slides and then we'll take questions.
Yeah. So this is what's current now, my daughter's room. It started off as this, which was like a little study. And then it turned into a nursery for 2 people. And then it turned into that.
It turned into a nursery for 2 people. I love
it. Yeah. Yeah, that was not expected.
Yeah, times 2. Is this another, I didn't even notice this on the video tour, but is this another jib door? Actually,
yes, both of those. We just needed to get her more storage.
Yeah.
So she's got tons of storage. And if you look, I mean, you can see it's 2 colors of green on the wall.
Beautiful.
And then I took a Samuel and Son tape trim designed by Michael Smith.
I love that.
And created a chair rail.
That's so clever. I love that.
I know. I got really, I mean, I didn't do it myself, so it's not do it yourself, but I did a lot of things for the first time in the apartment, which is great.
That's really fun. Your daughter did a really nice job with her room, by the way.
Yeah, my daughter's a classicist. Who knew?
Who knew?
Poor thing.
Okay,
and that's her bed, which I just love that low slung and with some wood showing on the side of the headboard.
That gives it kind of a nice I don't know, refinement or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if it's just a fabric headboard, and I love fabric headboards, but it's again, it's not like special.
Exactly. Really beautiful.
And that was my original bedroom that turned into the boys' room. And this was, that bed with the Fortuny is now in Southampton in my mother's house, in our bedroom there.
I love it.
And this was, this was such a pretty bedroom, and it looked great also with the mahogany doors, so that the real femininity of it was a little bit tempered.
Mm-hmm. But I'm obsessed with these window treatments. So beautiful.
Yeah, they were taffeta, and they were just this really pretty color.
Yeah.
But they needed to come to the side, on each side, because of the air conditioner that's centered on that wall.
Got it. And then here it is
And
in
that,
the bunker
yeah,
with their map. I love it.
with the map. And so I had these Robert Indiana numbers, and my father's family's from Indiana, and I had grown up with the Saarinen chairs in my parents' 70s apartment.
Love it.
And then that desk you see is one of those gyroscopic desks that pulls down, and it's a bed.
That's so cool.
You don't have to take anything off your desk, because it goes with gravity and it stays in position even as you're opening it.
Oh my gosh.
And then we built the bunks above it.
Love it. This frame around, that's so cool.
And now there it is now. Same
call for the
same
bunks.
room. I mean, so many iterations. It's hilarious.
I love it. Oh my gosh, we made it all the way through. I can't believe that.
Woohoo!
Okay. Let me see if I can, hold on, bring us back. Okay, here we are. So we're going to take some questions now in our remaining minutes. Okay, this is like the first question we got, and probably one of my favorites. And that is, what is your favorite part of your home?
My favorite part of my home is this seat that I'm in right now. Not because when you sit in it, and this is what I was showing you before, this is what my husband and I fight over.
Right.
It's this cool view out the window into the mirror, which makes it looks like the window continues.
Yeah.
And then the next window.
So great. It's like such a nice long view.
Yeah, yeah. It's a long view, and it's a lot of light. And who doesn't love an enfilade, right?
Who doesn't? I love it. Once you can see your hidden bookcases, it's a great view.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a very soothing view. And because we're right by all of this activity on a bridge, it's like the world is spinning just outside.
That's so cool. I love that. Okay, here's a question. It's about what is your favorite paint to use on the doors for that gloss? Now, your doors, I don't think are painted, but if
my doors are not painted. But when I do paint doors, I usually use satin and pervo.
Satin and pervo.
I mean, it used to be oil low luster, and oil gives a beautiful sheen. But we know that oil is not good for the sweet people painting the doors. Right. So we gotta do better.
We've had to move away from the oil. I'm going to stick with paint for a minute, and then I'm going to come back to another question that came a little earlier. But the green.
What's that?
Bedroom. I don't know if you happen to recall the colors, or even at least the company. The two green paint colors of your daughter. Do you remember the colors?
I don't, but I can get back to you with that. I will put it on Instagram at some point in the next week.
Okay, that's amazing. And then while you're at it, the blue paint color from your 3 or 4
family room
ago. Well, the family room too, but the bedroom.
Okay, so the original bedroom with the Fortuny fabric,
that's the one
I mixed myself.
Oh.
But it's very close to Teresa's green Farrow and Ball.
Yes. Okay.
Which is strange because I see it as blue. A lot of people tell me it's green, and I tell them they're wrong.
I love that. I love that. Okay, here's a question from my next door neighbor, which I love, in Birmingham, Alabama. Did you study architecture? You clearly love classical architecture and are strongly influenced by it. By the way, she is an architect, so that's where she's coming from.
So I did not study it formally, but in my household, much, and growing up, much architecture was discussed, like all the time. And I don't know how to ski, for example, because instead of going to ski in winter, we'd go wherever we'd go and look at houses and look at museums. So when I was an undergrad, I actually studied something, it was literature and society was what it was called. And you studied history through the lens of the literature of the period.
Fantastic.
And I did that because I knew I was having my college paid for, and I knew I would likely go to grad school. And I went to grad school for art history, not for architecture. But I part of me wishes I had studied architecture, but I don't know that I could with the math required and the engineering. I'm maybe just better off being a decorator.
I love it. You've got kind of the best of both worlds in that way. Okay, somebody else is asking, is a jib door on a pivot hinge? And you did specify the hinge. I actually wanted to know this too. What kind of hinge?
Yeah, the hinge, and I'll show you some more jib doors actually I'm like heavy on the jib door.
Love it.
So I will show you something useful. So here we are, and here's another jib door, right? This is in my front hall. Yep. And it's an extra shoe closet.
Ooh.
But here's the cool thing. So this is the offset pivot hinge.
Okay, cool.
So it's like a knuckle.
Yep.
And it's cut into the baseboard down here.
Ooh. Yep.
Oh, you can't see? Can you see or you can't see?
I can see, but I am seeing that note from someone in the audience saying that they can't see.
Maybe they can't see me because I turned my camera to show you.
Oh, that's true. Door. If you can see the door, then you're seeing.
Yeah, you're seeing what you want to. Now, here's a trick from David Easton's office. When you do a beautiful paper,
oh yes,
wrap it to the middle of the door, because then it won't peel.
That's brilliant.
It's a major, when I first learned that, I was like, oh, thank you, David Easton. But when you're doing then a custom paper like this is, you could, if you used a sauce hinge, I'm not sure it would be as invisible. There's another hinge. Sorry, I'm walking quickly. I'm going to flip it to myself for a second. There's another hinge we use a lot in my office when we want the wall to be embraced by its enclosure, such as these are.
Yes.
And that is a Harmon hinge.
Harmon hinge.
So that when it's opened, it lies completely flat.
We were just talking about these with the veranda staff just the other day, and that's the first time I'd heard that reference, but I'm fascinated by that.
Of course, you hear it twice.
Yeah, is that true? It's like you hear it 2 days in a row.
Totally. It's like when you learn a new word and then you hear it everywhere. But missed all the screen time of the what?
I don't know.
But so when you do use a Harmon hinge and your door turns into wall, essentially when it's opened, it means you cannot have a doorknob on the opposite side.
Right.
So
because it can't lie all the way flat.
Exactly. It can't lie flat. But Harmon hinges are great.
That's so good to know. And I love how it creates like a passageway too.
Yeah, like an embrasure almost.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So the funny thing about the book spines on that door, that clearly the fake book spines, is I was talking to my office while I was doing the apartment, and they're like, "Well, you can go to the Strand and we can cut the books." Which, I mean, wouldn't you feel like the devil?
Yes,
cutting into a book. So I was like, why is this so hard? And they're like, well, we we can call the leather person and they can do this. And I'm like, hold on a second. And I just sat down at my computer and wrote fake book spines
And there
for a door. And there was the place in England there that just does it.
it makes fake book spines.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
And you can arrange them. Oh, but a really helpful thing that I did that I'm going to share with you again, for those of you doing bookcases and you don't want it to look too casual, I have put Maya Romanoff leather wallpaper on the interior of the bookcase.
I love that.
So it glows that cashew color.
It's really pretty.
Instead of having just an empty white cavity.
I love that. It's beautiful. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to ask you one or two more questions and then do our little closing thing because we have some news actually to announce at the very end. Somebody wants to know if you've ever designed dishware, and if so, where can she find it?
I have designed it, but I've never manufactured it. So I have designs, but even so, they're so old now that I'm dying to do tabletop.
So fun.
I'm putting that out there. Please, universe, let me do tabletop. It's amazing how having a dining room just galvanized my whole appreciation of all of the elements.
Setting the table, and I love it. Yeah. Okay, one more question. What is the fabric lining your bed? I think they mean the canopy.
It is, I'm sad to say, discontinued. I just found this out. It's from Clarence House, and it is an ECAT taffeta.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And it's the same that I use on the curtains. So, I've got that much of it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Alexa, thank you so much for hosting us, basically letting us all come over.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
And kind of tour through your house. It was fabulous. This is by far one of the most fun, design center panels I think I've ever been a part of. And I want to take this moment also to thank ADAC, of course, and to thank Theodore Alexander and all of you for tuning in, and to let you know that you can find Alexa's collection for Theodore Alexander at their showroom at ADAC. I think there are either 8 or 10 of her favorite pieces on display there to see. But even more exciting than that is the fact that Theodore Alexander is going to be hosting a launch party for Alexa's collection at High Point in June. So please, if you're planning to go to High Point in June, which I am, I hope all of you are. And
yes, please. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's like a party there, and not for nothing, Ralph Lauren is also launching at Theodore Alexander. So there's lots to see at Theodore Alexander.
I love it. I love it. I just hearing the you say like it's going to be a party. I'm like, oh my God, is it 19 again?
It's scary. We can all wear our hazmat suits and hug.
I'm thrilled. I'm here for parties now. So I think that sounds great and very exciting. Once again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, most importantly, to Alexa.
Thank you, Steele. Thank you, ADAC. Thank you, Theodore Alexander. What a fun afternoon.
So fun. So fun. And safe travels.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, take care.
Kisses. Bye, everybody, and see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.